This is KMJ at KMJNow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show. This is attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show is brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. We've been serving the Central Valley since 1995. If you or anybody you know has been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, give the Kapetan Brothers a call at 559-498-8000. Or if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, call us 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers, we are the Valley's law firm. Today's show is part 2 of my interview with an old acquaintance, Judge Ronn Couillard. He was a former Superior Court judge of Tulare County and author of true crime books. One is Murder in Visalia, the Coin Dealer Killer, and also The Frame Up, a Murder in Visalia, about his time as a prosecutor in Visalia for homicide prosecutions. Listen, he's someone I haven't seen in 25 years, but he's always been in the memory of mine as practicing law in Visalia. Back when the Kapetan Brothers served Tulare and Kings counties, and had offices there. We still do it. Please call us up and hire us if you've been arrested. There goes Judge. Sorry about that. There goes the commercial, the Kapetan Brothers again. But Couillard, Judge, embodied everything about efficiency, punctuality, and he was all business. He was a former Marine, no nonsense, fair and efficient. He was also a former minor league baseball player, former homicide prosecutor, and I recently discovered a talented author for his true crime books, which I like to call how done it books, not who done it books, relating his prosecutions of somewhat infamous murders in the Tulare County area. So I want you all to go out to Amazon, buy The Coin Dealer Killer and The Frame Up by Ronn Couillard. Listen, we're going to pretend, Judge, that a week has passed by, but this is part 2. I know you were just sitting there just a few minutes ago, but we're going to say it's a pleasure to welcome you back to the Marc Kapetan Show.
Thank you. You got the same shirt on.
Yeah, you have the same shirt. Yeah, I have the same suit and tie. Judge, I wore a suit and tie for you, and you came here with a very nice Hawaiian shirt, but not anything like I've ever seen you dress.
No. I haven't had a tie on since I retired.
Good for you. You know what? Good for you. I await those days, Judge. So, hopefully I'll be there soon because I don't know if I could take any more of this. So, speaking of which, because we're going to talk about The Frame Up, a murder case that you did in Visalia. When you retired fully, the stresses of being a prosecutor, the stresses of being... Let me ask you this. Is the stress of being a judge anything... Is there stress being a judge compared to being a prosecutor and having to have the lives of people, victims, or as a defense attorney, the lives of your defendants in the palm of your hands?
Well, I don't know if I can answer that. I don't really get stressed. I just figure in my realm of thought is who is this person, what did they do, and what's the best or what's the proper result, or what should occur based upon what they did and who they are. But there's stress in the fact that you have a lot of cases and you're trying to get through them, but as far as an individual case, sometimes you're in a quandary. You don't know, you're doubtful as to what to do or how to do it, but I just don't equate things as being stressful.
You are cool as a cucumber.
I don't know about that, but I just don't feel stress a great deal.
You did defense work, you said, right?
I did it for a few years, yes.
I could remember particular cases. Listen, it's tough to find an innocent client out there, right?
That's what I found.
But I've had clients that I thought were truly innocent, and the prosecution thinks they're completely guilty. And there is a stress that you have because how good of a job, well, I guess if you are prepared and you know you're doing a good job, you shouldn't be stressed, but you are, because sometimes it's the way the person looks on the stand or something like that the jury may vote on.
I guess that's true. And I don't know if stress is it. You can get disappointed, that's for sure. Or sometimes you have to think, well, maybe this is the way it is. All you can do is what you can do.
Yeah.
And you can't take it to bed with you. You've got to perform your job as well as you can.
Yeah.
And let the chips fall where they may.
And the work and the time that you put in, I think on the Betty case, so we're talking about the frame-up. It was the murder of Esmat, right?
Esmat was the name, yeah.
Yeah,
they were both, Mohammed and Esmat were from Iran. They were immigrants here, and they were living in Visalia at the time that I arrived up here. In fact, ironically, we moved from Southern California. I took the job in Visalia as a prosecutor there in Tulare County, and I think I arrived in mid-June. My first day was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Monday. It was the 16th of June.
Yeah.
And this murder that I write about in the frame-up took place the next day.
The next day?
Tuesday, the 17th.
Wow.
Or Tuesday night, actually.
Yeah. These occurred around 1979, 1980, and Mohammed murders his wife, Esmat, but basically blames it or sets up a renter that they had by the name of Omar, right?
Omar Salidi. He was I'd say exchange student. He came over here from Jordan. His uncle, who was very wealthy in Jordan, sponsored him to come here to the United States to go to college and learn the language, and he become an engineer, which Salidi eventually did. Somehow or another, they got connected with the Abidis, and Omar was working for Mohammed in his carpet shop,
right?
And
Mohammed, he had a successful business, basically.
Yeah, it was successful. Yeah, he had a lot of business,
but he wanted more money, basically.
he lived a different lifestyle,
right?
But Salidi lived in a small bungalow, didn't even have running water or toilet facilities, that was in the backyard of the Abidi household.
Right.
He'd come in and use the restroom and all that, and ate with the family and that type of thing. And but what Mohammed did is we could prove this, and everybody knew it from the beginning, pretty much.
Yeah, Mohammed basically commits this murder under your theory. And basically plants blood evidence, a knife, and a few other things.
The murder weapon
in this little bungalow room of Omar Salidi.
Correct.
Okay. Before we go on to the rest of the story, because I want to, keep the audience out there, in mystery. The books are, as I've explained, not whodunit books, but howdunit. How I prosecuted this guy. You have this great style of telling everybody the murderer, who it is in the beginning. You tell the audience or the reader, basically that the murderer is going to be convicted in the end, and you explain with somewhat matter-of-factness that you have your no-nonsense style, but with enough flair that makes it very, very readable. I love it. How it was all done. And one of the questions I had was, how did you remember all of these details? At one point, you're talking in your books about talking to juries outside of the after the case is over. You have these funny little quips that are in there and stuff like that. And did you take notes back then? Did you think that you were going to be writing books in the future? How did you, was there a lot of research that you had to do to go back and get transcripts and police files, etc.?
Well, I did have the files because I just brought them home and
so
had them at
you
the
kept
house.
the files?
Kept the files.
Wow.
And I had some transcripts because there were a lot of transcripts around. I mean, they generated transcripts for everybody, and but I kept them. So I had those available. And then the other things I just stuck in my memory. I talked to a couple of jurors, and of course in the Yeah, in the Abedi case, we had things were so weird. It was just a strange case. There were so many unusual personalities, and we talked about them in the office all the time.
Okay, and we're going to talk about those personalities after this break here. We are on with Ronn Couillard, who's an author of Murder in Visalia, The Coin Dealer Killer, The Frame-Up, A Murder in Visalia, and a former judge at Tulare County Superior Court over there. We'll be right back after this. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. Today's show is also brought to you by Max's Bistro and Bar. It's your neighborhood spot. I go to Max's all the time. I love the Max burger, the filet, the chicken marsala. It's all great. I mean, really, it's all just wonderful. It's always great to start off with the sweet potato fries and the truffle fries, maybe a little cocktail. Max's, your neighborhood spot. You'll love Max's because Max's loves you. This is KMJ. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. Folks, you know the drill. If you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, I want you to call the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm, 559-498-8000. And let me pot this music down a little bit. If you've been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, we get it. We know that you are at the Kapetan Brothers. We know that you're hurting, you're injured, you're confused, you're not sure where to go, what to do. The best thing you could do is pick up the phone and call an attorney. We'd appreciate if you call the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. My brother Peter is a great attorney. And, he'll evaluate your case, will answer your questions, and will ease your concerns. And so the best thing you could do is call the Kapetan Brothers at 559-498-8000 if you've been injured or are suffering from an injury accident, as we like to say. So call the Kapetan Brothers, 559-498-8000. We are back on with Judge Ronn Couillard. He's the author of The Frame-Up, A Murder in Visalia, and The Coin Dealer Killer, Murder in Visalia. Some great books, and this is part 2 of the interview with Judge Couillard. Talking about the Abedi case. Judge, in the Abedi case, you had a cast of crazy characters. And folks, I want you to read The Frame-Up, A Murder in Visalia. Go to Amazon and get that book by Ronn Couillard. It is a cast of characters. You have Maxine Pearson. Explain to the audience out there, Maxine Pearson.
Oh boy, that was a delight. We had a kind of a long story, but one of our key witnesses, we had to get a reason for him not being the murderer. He was, or the guy that
you need an alibi, basically.
An alibi, kind of, for not being the guy that burned the Abedi's business and was saying things about Abedi. Anyway, this Maxine Pearson was finally discovered by one of our investigators, John Johnson. She lived down in Southern California, and she had a story that kind of helped out our case.
Yeah.
And
they were out to dinner that night, and he couldn't have done these things because he was in L.A. having dinner with me.
He couldn't have done it. Yeah. Anyway, John, we were in trial, and John went down to L.A., brought this Maxine up here, and he was supposed to arrive earlier in the day, and I would have a chance to go over her testimony with
meet her,
quick.
Take a look at her, and see if she's going to be a good witness.
I knew she was going to be a witness, but kind of get a feel for how she was going to testify and so on. So anyway, John got delayed coming back, and it was noon hour, and I was still waiting. We had to go back at 1:30 in the afternoon in Judge Ballantyne's court, and where's John? Well, John come walking in, and he says, your witness is here. And I says, I had to take her up to the courtroom because it's time, we had to go in.
Right.
And I said, how's she doing? John says, you'll find out. Anyway, I went up there and I saw her. She was a wonderful looking woman, just a beautiful woman.
Right.
But boy, she looked like a
she had a mini skirt, fur coat, high heels that clacked on the floor, And I loved, and I got to ask you what your favorite authors were back in the day, because it sounds like a Sam Spade. You said she had a body that any woman would envy. You could say she certainly stood out in the crowd. I love it.
She did. And when we took her, well, as I put in the book, we took her in, and she was the first witness after lunch, and the jury just came in, and the judge was up there, and Judge Valentine says, "You may call your next witness." And I said, "We call Maxine Pearson."
Right.
And it wasn't her real name, but that was, I think, there was a what do you call it?
A nom de plume or whatever, or something like that. Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, and witnesses
AKA
are called, and she was outside, and they opened the door, and the jury kind of turned around and looked to see who was coming in, and all of a sudden, I was keeping an eye on the men in the jury, and as soon as I looked, oh boy, did they get a startled look on their face.
All the men on the jury?
All the men, and the defense attorney, he looked over there, and even Judge Valentine did a double take. And she was.
Did you know you had a guilty verdict right there and then?
But she wasn't that big a deal in the case, but she kind of was a sideline witness in the sense that she helped my case as far as this one witness was concerned, right. But she was the star of the day. Anyway, we ended up getting a hung jury in that case. That was one of the arson cases, and we came out afterwards, and I was talking to the jurors, and there was a bunch of men on the jury.
Yeah.
And they after the case was over with and the judge declared a mistrial, they said, "Are you going to try this case again?" And no. And a businessman out of Visalia, who I'll remain anonymous, was on the jury, and he says, "Are you going to retry?" I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Are you going to have that Maxine Pearson again?" He says, "Can I be on that jury? Can I be on the next jury?"
He wanted to see her again.
Yeah. Oh, that was a funny.
Too funny.
That was a funny thing.
So these were all arson cases it was an arson case that was basically a fraud case to try to get insurance money. And what struck you is that even though this Omar guy had been accused of the murder and was arrested and spent months and months and months in jail, you knew that Mohammed Abedi was the actual killer, and started realizing that the arson, whatever con game Mohammed would play, it was all purely for money, including the murder of his own wife while his kids were at home.
Correct, and the police knew that too. I think the investigators that I worked with at VPD knew that, and we just couldn't get the right information. And what happened is when Omar Salidi got released from prison, or from jail rather, the county jail.
The guy he framed.
After being framed, he got released in March, and he disappeared. We couldn't find him, and I told John Johnson, after we tried disobedience on these arsons, we tried him 5 times. Once we got a mistrial because my key witness said something
about the murder, right?
Yeah, about the murder. This guy was a loose cannon, but he was the funniest man I've ever.
Was that Tom Fred
Newman?
Tom Fred Newman, whose real name was
Tamor Halabadi. He was an Iranian guy. He was one of the most unusual or most unforgettable characters I've ever met.
You sort of said that the whole circle of friends, Tom, Mohammed Abedi, the killer, and a bunch of his other friends, all played con games constantly, and it was almost like it was fun. And it's not like small con games like you have a bet gambling or whatever. They would do hardcore con games, including, "I promise that I will testify that you didn't kill your wife as long as you give me money." And then they would give Tom Fred Newman the money, and then he would still go testify, huh?
Yeah, it was just strange. It was a fascinating cast of characters. Yeah. The only normal person among all of them was Omar Salidi, the guy that he got framed for murder.
You said he was beautiful when he testified.
He was a wonderful witness, just excellent.
And the poor kid had come over because
he'd come from Jordan to be a. To learn the
engineer,
language.
Right?
Engineer. He actually got his engineering degree from Louisiana Southern University or some school in Louisiana. And John Johnson, my investigator with the DA's office, found him down there. We didn't know where he was. And I told John after one of the mistrials on the arson case, he says, we're never going to get him for arson, but we can get him for murder. I says, John, if you can find Omar Salidi, I will file the murder case.
And we're going to get to the end of that murder case right after this. They had to actually go to Jordan to find Omar Salidi.
Well,
in the Army in Jordan.
Second time around, yeah.
Second time around, yeah. Well, believe me, that's the time you got him convicted. So we're going to talk about that right after this. Okay. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. This is KMJ at KMJNow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. Folks, I want you to go to KMJNow.com or get the KMJ app. I would really appreciate it if you get the KMJ app. And if you miss part of this show, or if you miss any of the shows on KMJ, you could go there and you could download or stream. I don't know. What do the kids say, Marcella? Download, stream? Yeah, I guess it's two different things. I don't know all that stuff that the kids say, but I want you to smash those like buttons. I want you to go to Facebook and to YouTube and get the Marc Kapetan Show on Facebook and YouTube. You could see the beautiful Hawaiian shirt that Judge Ronn Couillard is now wearing in his relaxed retirement days. Go to Facebook, folks. Smash that like button, as the kids say. Go to YouTube, and you can check out the videos of the Marc Kapetan Show. We are on with Judge Ronn Couillard. He is a author and former Tulare County Superior Court judge, former prosecutor in Tulare County, former prosecutor in Los Angeles, former minor league baseball player, former... Hey, Mom and Dad, what did they do, Judge?
My dad was a railroad worker.
Oh, wow.
And he died at 44. He had cancer. And my mother, she was a housewife. And then when my dad got sick, she went to, some kind of data processing classes and became a data processor and did that for a while.
How old were you when your dad died?
20.
Yeah, I was 22 when my mom died. Yeah, passed. Were you? Did you have brothers and sisters?
I have a younger brother, 10 years younger.
Okay, so then you became the man of the house.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
As a kid, were you a serious kid? I find you to be a very serious, no-nonsense guy. Is that how you were as a kid, or do you think Dad passing relates to you saying, I got to grow up real quick?
I appear serious on the outside. I don't think I'm overly serious.
I got to say, there's one thing that I'm finding out more that I'm talking to you, and I love the fact that I could talk to you personally now and not as a judge. Your daughter follows in your footsteps, Carrie, right?
Right.
She's a Superior Court judge. And I just had a conversation with her this last week, and what I remember, because I hadn't talked to her in many, many years, and what I remember in talking to Carrie is that she's always laughing. She's always humorous, always laughing, and has a very easy style like you have too. And so I'm finding a whole different side of you, Judge, that I sort of appreciate. So anyway, okay. The author, would Dad have approved you of being an author, or did he want the prosecutor for the son?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think they ever thought anything.
Never thought.
I was such a screw up in high school and afterwards that I don't think anybody ever thought I'd graduate from college.
Okay, and so that now we're getting to, I know you're a little shy about this, but okay, so you were a screw up in high school. How so?
Well, I don't mean a screw up. I graduated, if that's what you mean. But what I did, I played baseball in high school, and my goal was to stay eligible for baseball.
Right. And
I came back later and I found out we had a library there in school. I never knew that in high school. But I just ran around with my friends and played some ball, and you kind got a C average, you could stay eligible, and that was my life.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and that's why I was asking, is I'd like to know what's behind the person, and at 20, what year did you go to law school? How old were you when you went to law school?
I was about 25. I went to law school after I was married.
Yeah,
met my wife.
Charlotte.
I worked a lot of jobs. I kind of went to school a semester at a time, and then my dad died. I worked on the loading docks down at Challenge Creamery, and did various jobs. Worked in the Bethlehem Steel and different jobs. You could always get a job in
very
Southern
blue
California.
collar, though.
Oh yeah. And finally, I decided I better get a semester here, a semester there at school, and played a little ball, and that didn't work out. And went in the Marine Corps, and I thought I don't want to do this the rest of my life. So I kind of hobnobbed through school a little bit, and then I met my wife. Decided I better get serious, so we got married. I had one semester left.
What'd you major
of
in?
School? History.
Yeah.
Just a general.
Yeah, my favorite too.
And then I graduated in January of '62. Got a job and worked a year, and I thought that I told you before. I told my wife, I says, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm just making a salary, but it's decent. We're not starving, but I'm either going to go back to school and get a major get a doctor or master's in history so I can teach junior college history, or I'm going to go to law school because I'd had a pre-law class at my last semester there at school, or I'm going to become a professional bowler. Well, she put the kibosh on the last one, and so I decided to go to law school. I went.
Were you a good bowler?
Yeah, I was a decent bowler, but to bowl or to golf, you've got to do it every day. So I was going to spend the money that I would have spent at law school or elsewhere to bowl all the time. I would not have quit my job, but I had to bowl every spare minute and try to get to where I could. You
have that drive like that in anything that you do?
Yeah, I if I decide I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Really?
And she said, no, you're not going to do that.
She didn't want a touring bowler as a husband,
that's not a steady life. Anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went to law school. I started in January of '63, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it took 5 years. I went to night school, of course, because I was working days. And we had a daughter that got born right away. But anyway, it took 5 years because I had Marine reserves I had to go to in the summertime. And so I couldn't go to the summer school program.
Where were you stationed in the Marines? Or in how many years?
Stationed at, I see, the armpit of the world, they called it then, 29 Palms, California.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting time. But anyway,
what kind of work did you do with the Marines? What were you trained to do?
When I first joined, we had tanks, and I got something. In fact, I went into the Marine Corps 67 years ago this month.
Oh wow!
August 5th of 1958. And
so you missed the Korean War, right?
I was between Korea and
Vietnam.
Vietnam,
good,
right
good
in between.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a tank driver's license of all things.
No kidding.
But that didn't last too long.
Oh, come on,
we quickly changed to the big artillery guns, 155s, that also were obsolete. And then we eventually went to the 105s, which were truck-driven. Right. And I was in what was called FDC, which was Fire Direction Control, and something they do by computer now. But in those days, you'd have an object here you're shooting at, your guns were here, and we'd go over here, and they'd fire, and we'd try to use a slide
triangulation,
rule.
The slide rule.
Slide rule effect, and we try to zero them in.
Judge, I still have my dad's slide rule.
Oh, you do?
I absolutely do, yeah.
I've got a slide rule at home, too.
I believe me, I don't even think I could figure out how to use it anymore, but
they never were accurate,
Really?
No, you're not precise with them.
That's too funny. Hey, driving a tank, is that every kid's dream?
That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
It was was fun.
Absolutely. Okay, getting back to the frame up and you being a prosecutor. So you eventually go to law school. It sounds like that wasn't your destiny,
No.
but you actually, I mean, I think it's a very grown up thing to do. And I guess when you're married and you have your first kid, you got to grow up real quick.
Yep.
The frame up. Murder of a Betty. We're going to get to the cast of the characters, but basically, what was the one thing you had? You tried to prosecute this guy for arson, fraud, and for murder several times.
Prosecuted him for arson because after the murder took place, it was another DA had the case originally because, like I say, it just happened the day after I arrived in Visalia.
Yeah.
But this fella, Omar Salidi, he was arrested and charged.
Yeah.
Now, the police, I don't think, ever really thought he was the guy. They took Salidi to a preliminary hearing, and I've written about that in the book, and that's kind of interesting what happened at the preliminary hearing. Beatty testified against his wife's supposed killer. Anyway, that was in June or July roughly, and then about March the office finally determined that this doesn't look good because Salidi just doesn't look like he did it.
Right.
So they ended up releasing him, and he shot out of town as fast as he could. He was afraid of a beating.
Yeah, and it's explained in the book, like you said. Mohammed, the actual murderer, testified at the preliminary hearing against
the guy he set up.
The guy that he set up. And we're going to talk about the evils of man. We're going to talk about the cast of characters right after this with Ronn Couillard, Judge Ronn Couillard, author of The Frame Up and Murder in Visalia, The Coin Dealer Killer. We'll be right back after this on the Marc Kapetan Show. This is KMJ. Today's show is also brought to you by Max's Bistro and Bar. It's your neighborhood spot. I go to Max's all the time. I love the Max burger, the filet, the chicken marsala. It's all great. I mean, really, it's all just wonderful. It's always great to start off with the sweet potato fries and the truffle fries, maybe a little cocktail. Max's, your neighborhood spot. You'll love Max's because Max's loves you. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. We are back on. I want to get right back into it with Judge Ronn Couillard, who is former Superior Court judge in Tulare County, and also the author of The Frame Up, A Murder in Visalia, and The Coin Dealer Killer, Murder in Visalia. Judge, a very well-read, intelligent Berkeley graduate, law school graduate friend of mine who's now an attorney, basically read part of The Coin Dealer Killer, loved the book, said that it reminded him of Truman Capote's In Cold Blood, which you can't get any better than that for crime books, basically. When you were a kid, did you read these crime books? Is this something that, as a kid, you were fascinated by?
I don't remember any reading. No. I didn't read much when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I read a lot of sports pages, and that's about it. I didn't read any crime, but I liked mystery though. Yeah. My mother was a big mystery fan, and you watched Perry Mason not as a kid, but I listened to the radio with the different detective stories.
You have a little Perry Mason in this book. You have a little Dragnet, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little Sam Spade in your descriptions of the characters. I understand you had the, I think you got to give a shout out to a couple different people. Number one, Charlotte, your wife, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. You dedicate much of your successes to her in the books. Also, it's a writing guild that you were part of.
When I always kind of liked to write. It's always been sort of a hobby. I never really did anything completely, but I just fool around with it. But I joined a writing group out of Exeter, which is in Tulare County. It's about 5 of us would get together on a Saturday morning once a month, I believe, and we'd write different chapters of different things that we had done, and then we'd pass them out and read them and critique each other a little bit. So that really helped out. That helped more with the punctuation and the sentence structure than anything else.
Yeah, coming from the C student who wanted to play baseball. Yeah, you needed all the help you could get.
Oh, yes.
I'll tell you, they're beautifully written. I want everybody to go on Amazon and get the Frame Up Murder in Visalia and the Coin Dealer Killer Murder in Visalia. The conviction of Omar Abedi, he's attempted to frame. Mohammed Abedi. Yeah. He attempted to frame a renter who was living in his house. He kills his wife, stabbing her multiple times. The daughter told friends that she actually saw the murder or heard what was going on. She
was in an adjoining bedroom, and she was supposedly asleep. I mean, she was in bed, and she told a housekeeper a while after, not immediately after, but down the road a piece, that she either heard or saw the murder take place. Now, the wife was killed between the bed and the wall, so you couldn't stand at the door. In fact, when the police officer first walked in, when he was called on the 911 call, he couldn't see the body because it was between the wall and the bed.
Right.
And he walked around. He saw some blood on the wall, of course, but he walked around the end of the bed, and then that's when he saw. So the daughter from the doorway could not have seen the murder take place, but she could have seen somebody being on top.
And she heard mom and dad arguing.
That's what that claims.
But she later, in testimony, said that she didn't say those things.
She said that's exactly right. She said, I didn't say that, and of course I could impeach her and get that through the hearsay exception rule in, because the housekeeper.
The prior inconsistent statements, and that's part of what you do in the book is you explain how you get around those things. Do you forgive the daughter for lying like that? I guess
I don't. I can understand it. Let's put it that way. It was her father. She was close to the dad. She was close to the mom. She was close to both of them, and I think she was kind of afraid of the dad. She didn't want him to go away, obviously, to be prosecuted. She was the oldest of 4 kids, and
but it got somewhat personal. They were protesting in the.
They were protesting me.
Yeah, they were specifically naming you by name. And even Omar. Mohammed. In fact, even in a later habeas corpus petition, had to have his attorney cross-examine you, and the tables were turned at some point later.
It was kind of fun. It was interesting.
Yeah, and you almost relate to it that when you saw him, it was don't get the wrong idea, folks, but it was almost like seeing an old friend in the sense of you had your investigator, and the suspect that you spent all those years trying to convict at a later appellate hearing, and it was almost brought everything together again, and it was a comfortable, familiar thing for you.
Yeah, it was. It was a federal hearing, some kind of a writ of some kind of a writ. I don't know what it was, and we were all there. John Johnson, the chief investigator, he testified. I testified, and I think the judge just threw up his hands and said, "Get out of here," after a while. But anyways, it was interesting. It was a lot of fun.
People don't understand that we go home after these things. We have dinners. We make jokes about things that are in murder cases. We do anything. And you say you don't stress out, but obviously over time, sometimes these things, you have to find a way to divert your mind.
You got to relieve the tension, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Here's a question that I ask all my lawyer friends and police officers when I have them on the show. Are there people who make bad mistakes, or are there truly evil people out there?
Oh, I think both.
Yeah.
There are evil people. Over the 48 years I've been in this business, I've run across some evil people. Probably more people that have just made foolish mistakes.
Right.
But mistake is a mistake. I mean, it turns deadly sometimes, or it can maybe not be so deadly, but there are truly evil people. We've run across them. Probably a small percentage of evil people, but a larger percentage of those that just made a mistake. But
so the reason why I ask is because we have decriminalization here in California, and I'm not going to get political about it, but what your books exemplify that I thought was very telling to a reader is people do not understand how far man will go in pursuing their evil schemes. And you have two cases, murder in Visalia, the coin dealer killer, and the frame up, where purely for monetary reasons, they would kill an innocent person, a person they don't even know, or kill their own wife and do everything that it takes in planning, hiding, lying, whatever, to get away with it.
That's true.
It's got to amaze you, though, when you're doing these things.
I don't know if those are mistakes or that's just some evil coming out on that person. But in any event, it's a crime. It needs to be dealt with. Yeah.
It's funny because I see the classes that they want to give people, the psychology of it all, the diversion programs and everything that we do, and I love this. You just ended with what exactly I loved about you, the no nonsense. It just has to be dealt with.
Well, it has to be dealt with, and drugs are diversion is related to drugs and alcohol, and I can understand that because you can overcome some of those problems if you go through the right, and you're serious about going through the right scenarios. But crimes people, like this are no, they're not going to be any diversion class for murder.
And then you got to be a judge, and you got to put people away for those evil things, right?
Well, yeah, you put some away, and some you give a break here and there, but they maybe they deserve the break. Who knows? But that's something you have to evaluate.
Like I said, no nonsense and fair. So Judge Couillard, it was great catching up with you again. Thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been an honor to be here.
We'll see you next week on the Marc Kapetan Show. Thanks to my wonderful producer, Marcella Solorio-Taylor. Right, Marcella? Yes, the big smiles from Marcella. So we'll see you next week on the Marc Kapetan Show. This is KMJ.